Hello! I've been playing with acrylics before, but not last night, but 2 nights ago, I was able to paint this. Which is the first of what I hope to be a series of Portuguese historical figures, but with my face incorporated. So this is Queen Carlota. She was our queen in the beginning of 19th century. She was the one who was married with John VI. They are a very famous couple in Brazil. They fled to Brazil with their kids because of Napoleon. And this is a bit of a big portrait that hangs in the National Palace of Queluz, somewhere between Lisbon and Sintra. And it made me so fascinated with the possibilities of the acrylic, as if I didn't know them before, which I did, that somehow it made me feel like throwing all my oils and turpentine on the bin. That would be quite a gesture, I guess. Also because somehow, sometimes when I paint with oils, the smell or the fumes of turpentine really gets me on my nerves, and I get really... And with acrylic, it just dries like this, and I can retouch with watercolor and dries like this. And I can also... whatever, just hold on a sec. Some time ago I started this painting of the Marquis of Fronteira, or the late Marquis of Fronteira. He died a few months ago, and it's oils. But because I think it's totally wrong and it's not finished yet, I'm planning to use this friend and scratch the oils and start again with the acrylics. And that's what I'm going to do after putting the camera off. Other adventures are with a papier-mâché structure made out by filling these what's the name? Silicone, half and then half, and then with this friend of mine, which is tape. I tape both faces and get the head, and that's how I've been doing these faces of, again, historical figures, Portuguese ones of course, and have been playing afterwards with another friend of mine called Silcotin HB, which is a German awesome rubber to make casts. It is very expensive, but better than silicone, because silicone, it's good. One can even do that funny paste with silicone and starch in order to make casts. But let's say that sometimes it doesn't work for me, because sometimes the paste or the clay doesn't really get good, and sometimes the mold or the cast has cracks, and then when I fill it with dust clay, there's some cracks, which I can easily solve, but I don't feel like. The main idea with these are to make bigger busts or bigger dolls, yes, from this size dolls to this size dolls or busts of Portuguese historical figures, but also some other figures like Queen Elizabeth I of England, Oscar Wilde, Frida Kahlo, Mozart, Rembrandt, people like that, just for fun, and then to fill my Etsy shop with it. Yesterday I had a stroll onto a huge art shop, and finally I bought myself plastilina. My idea was to make these heads out of plastilina in order to save some dust. But somehow it felt like plastilina was rather the way one has to work with plastilina has to be rather slow in comparison to dust face making, which is a lot faster. Of course, that the technique is different. Like, for example, whilst I'm doing a head in order to make either a detail here or there, I prefer that the whole thing is dried. So and of course with plastilina nothing dries. Can get stiff if I put the head on the freezer, I guess, or just leave it alone. But somehow I don't think I have the patience to wait that much, so has to. I don't know what I'll do with it. I'm sure I'll think about something. In the meantime, speaking of silcotine, the rubber, I bought myself this liquid rubber on a normal shop, like where one buys paint, brushes, brooms, mouse traps, soaps, one of those. I bought myself this because I thought that would solve the rubber mold making thing, because it's liquid, doesn't need any special sprinkling of something in order to dry like the silcotine. So I bought myself this, way cheaper. This was 13 euros, whilst silcotine it costs 30 euros. But there's a slight thing with this. One can't do thick layers of it, because if so it doesn't dry, or might probably take months to dry. So I did prepare one cast of one of these heads on one of these boxes I bought myself, and placed the head in the center with some plasticine, not plastilina, because by then I didn't have the plastilina. So plasticine and the head on the middle, and poured this lovely rubber, and it's been a week and it's as fresh as. So because I had some bust hanging around waiting for some solution, I decided with a brush to remove all the the liquid rubber that was like puddle, spread it on that bust. I was planning to make a cast, but didn't know how. And so the cast of the head I'm attempting has still a thin layer on the face, so that will dry, and the remaining puddle liquid rubber went to be smeared at the bust I'm talking about. I can't show you because it's still very fresh and I can't touch it. The idea is tomorrow I'm hoping that the thinner layer will be dried, so I can apply another layer, and within at least 3 layers everything will be fine, I hope. But as I said, still didn't show you the casts I made with silcotin. Why having silcotin? I bought the rubber because, again, the rubber, I thought it was way cheaper, and I had a slight problem with this silcotin. My first and second attempt working with silcotin took me 3 to 4 days to dry, and I think you understood already that I'm rather impatient boy. But the last 2 casts I made from a previous silcotin can I had bought last year, I sprinkled it with lots of silicone hardener, which again comes with a silcotin thingy. The problem is I'm lousy with measurements. I know everything has to be measured, like some grams of this are entitled, I don't know if that's the word, to have these amount of milligrams of this hardener. But again, the last drops of silcotin from the old can I had, I felt a bit adventurous, so I just sprinkled lots of this hardener and went to bed. Magic was that the next day, the next morning, I had the cast dried, and I thought, whoa. So I started to think, okay, the normal rubber needs lots of time to dry because it has to be thin layer upon thin layer upon thin layer, and the silcotin with a large amount of hardener, it dries overnight, and detail wise it's really nice, I must say. Again, it really it's really nice. So yeah, I had the money, so why not? So I ventured myself to go to this mega art shop and bought myself, because I was also curious about the plastilina, so I bought myself another silcotin can to make more casts of heads of historical people. Yeah, but in the meantime, as I said, I'm diving into acrylic painting, acrylic portrait painting, for fun. I just had coffee and a very large cake, so don't mind my silliness. In the meantime, whilst all the busts or paintings or whatever aren't dry yet, you can also, or you can always visit my Etsy shop whilst I'm planning to either refurbish or delete my Royal Dolls website, because everything somehow became different within my mind, so I don't really know what to do with it. But yes, do visit my Etsy shop. I'll put the link below. And namaste from me. Ciao.